time. Welcome to Financial Fridays. I'm your host, Glenn Cleland, aka the Intellectual Venture Capitalist. I've gone from investing in stocks to investing in students. This is part two of our farewell to SIF graduates as I redo the speech that I gave to my SIF graduates. This is my proudest event, and I've got a lot of them within the SIF program, but this was the ultimate. When I retired, the students invited me back to Toronto at their own expense to provide me this tombstone, basically thanking me for all my service within the Student Investment Fund. It was coordinated by 40 graduates. I had 200 graduates in the program. Supposedly they had to turn them back from the door because we only had seating capacity for 40. Now, just a little reminder, who am I? Well, I was the founding director of the UNB, University of New Brunswick's Center for Financial Studies. My job is not only to recognize the talent, but also develop the talent, initially for New Brunswick Investment Management Corp., of which I was one of the founding members of the senior management, and New Brunswick Investment Management Corp. Were responsible for investing the pension monies for initially the public service, teachers, and judges, and they subsequently got new clients in. So I've been on the buy side as an institutional equity buy side manager, but I was also on the sell side as a capital markets associates. I also got the students ready for this, the CFA charter, which I got through. Bragging rights, we were first in the Atlantic region. Starting in 1998, we were profiled in the National Post. We were also profiled in the Globe and Mail for teaching the students a hedge fund technique called the risk-controlled active management using market neutral to add extra alpha. When I left, we were the #1 undergraduate program in Canada with 9 million in assets under management, and yes, that was real money. And with the CFA curriculum embedded in the program, we were one of a kind in the world. Now, a lot of these videos, I've been going through the SIF key and performance indicators. Once again, I encourage you to go see the Real Money, Real Time, Real Performance one, which tells us about the portfolio performance. Also, CFA pass rates, take a look at the stairway to employability. We talk about university competitions, but this video is really about the SIF graduates and their careers. I encourage you to see the video Proudly UNB, where you see that these graduates have won the ultimate awards from UNB. But this is a reminder or memory for me about the farewell event that we had in Toronto. And what you see this picture here is it's at the restaurant Jump in Toronto, and I'm one of 40 graduates. You can see the tombstone in the middle. You can see Susan Boyce right here, just behind Tom Liston, who was critical to the program. He was the chairman of the advisory council, and you give it other successful graduates. You can see Faber Romana, who was profiled in Proudly UNB, Colin Ryan, and managing director of National Bank. So what I want to talk about, or in the speech today, is 3 stories that I talked about in the fund. So continuing on from last one. Now, in the spirit of Steve Jobs' famous Stanford commencement address, I wanted to tell you 3 stories or memories I have of the Student Investment Fund: the Polynesian Rite of Passage, the party, and the disqualification. From the beginning, I tried to tell the story of the Polynesian Rite of Passage that my grandfather told me. When he was an accountant in the Polynesian Islands, he learned that when kids reached adulthood, the parents would take them offshore and leave them there. Initially, the kids thought the parents were going to come back. But when they realized they were not, the strong left first, and you knew they would make the island. The weak whined and complained, never to be seen again. But the majority worked together to make it to the island. The island for you SIF graduates was the investment business. The cruel truth? A BBA, MBA from UNB was not going to get your foot in the door. But with the SIF, and subsequently the center, with access to industry standard software, the Bloombergs and the like, financial modeling boot camps, with the CFA level 1 embedded in the program, the business competitions, and now the SIF network, you now have a chance. To me, this party celebrates you making that island. So congratulations. The second story, the party. How appropriate is it this party at the Jump in Toronto is hosted by George Dehan, who held the original party, SIF party, back in 2005. Thank you, George. I'll never forget showing up about 11:30 at George's house, or his mom's house, and all the students were still there. Then I witnessed something I will never forget. Each student proceeded to individually get up on a chair and explain how their contribution assisted the program. At the time, I interpreted it to mean the importance of creating a culture that the students felt comfortable and not worried about failing, and put a lot of emphasis on this. but I believe it represented a collective resilience that the program was obtaining. This group and subsequent ones did not suffer from a culture of defeat that Stephen Harper, the Prime Minister of the day, coined. It was a can-do environment. So I challenge you to stand up on a chair right now and tell this group how the SIF impacted where you are today. Favor, can you start? How did the SIF help you? And we went around the room. We got Ken Fox involved. The last story is about how we got disqualified from the Atlantic Canada CFA investment research competition. We were in Toronto when the deadline occurred. My boss had always told me to get away from the computer and go kick companies' proverbial tires. Well, the company we were analyzing was in Toronto, so we went to set up a meeting with the president, no less. Now, I did not realize this was against the rules. The students spent literally 36 hours straight to meet the deadline. So what was I to do? Now, I could have ignored this rule violation, and I almost guarantee we would have won. But it was wrong, so I told the organizer of our transgressions, and sure enough, we got disqualified. What's the moral of the story? It takes 20 years to build your reputation, but 5 minutes to wreck it. Never compromise your reputation to get ahead. You have to be squeaky clean in this business. That is all I'll say about that. I'm going to end with a quote from my grandpa. He used to say you go through 3 stages in life. First you learn, then you bring up your family, develop your career, last is legacy. Whether you're aware or not, when I set up the SIF, I was debating whether to use my inheritance from my mom passing away to initially fund the SIF. But when I did my due diligence, I met Seymour Schulich, the chairman of several multi-billion-dollar companies at the time. He told me about the 3 T's of philanthropy. Now, I knew it was treasury, but I was unaware of time and talent. So I decided that the naming of the SIF after my mom made no sense, as it wasn't consistent with her background and she had no connection to UNB. So I gave my time and talent in setting up the SIF, but I set up an endowment in my mom's name at the same time. We're celebrating the 20th anniversary for the endowment, and it's given out over $100,000 in scholarships to nurses at the University of Calgary. As founding director of the Center for Financial Studies, I have brought close to $8 million to the university in terms of jobs and funding I secured while at MBIMC. So two jobs every year at MBIMC, total of $100,000. The partnership with CMARC, we've had a value add at this point in time of $1.5 million, along with in-kind donations CPMS AFG. Now, the late Roland Frazee, former president of RBC and board member of MBIMC, when I was at MBIMC, was a huge believer in the SIF and was instrumental in getting support from RBC for the center. But as I move on, I would be very disappointed the SIF and the center did not survive after I left. You see, the SIF is my legacy. Thus, I need your help. I have given you my business card, which calls myself an intellectual venture capitalist, implying that I invest in students, not stocks anymore. On the back is a quote I kept with me to remind me what my role was. I challenge you to keep this in your wallet and remember it when you're assisting the next generation of SIF students. Remember what it says. It says 100 years from now, it won't matter what kind of house you lived in, what kind of car you drove, how much money you had in your bank account, but you might make the difference in a young person's life. So viva la UNB Center for Financial Studies and the Student Investment Fund. Cheers. And there you have it. That's the long and the short of it. This was my last farewell to the SIF graduates of the program, a program I'm very proud of, and that's why I continue on with these Financial Fridays, because quite frankly, the wisdom in this program is very important. So until the next Financial Fridays, cheers.